Hello. Welcome everyone to the Akamari channel. Yes, we're back with the face cam. We're finally back with the face cam, ladies and gents. Sorry about last week's video. I know, like, I was so dedicated to, like, just talking in front of the camera for every single, like, ReZero video that I made. But obviously last week's episode I had some problems with the face cam. So you were watching Minecraft gameplay as I was like narrating and stuff like that. But that's over now. I'm back to the usual format. Me speaking to you guys in particular. So honestly, enough of that. Oh my fucking god. This episode was insane. This episode was insane. Like, this is actually turning into an actual murder. Like, this is Among Us right now. This is Among Us right now. So instead of finding out who was the one killing everyone, in a sense, it's now Subaru trying to cover up his tracks while people try and figure out what's going on. Honestly, it was an insane episode. I can't lie. It was so dark. And it was just so, like, psychologically, like, targeting. I was just locked the fuck in throughout the whole episode. I was watching. I couldn't take my eyes off this episode purely because every second kind of counted. In a sense, like, it was making you just want to watch and be like, what the fuck? There's so many what the fuck moments. It's insane. Honestly, I really enjoyed this episode. I'm very excited for next week's episode in particular because I don't know if you've been online recently, but that episode in particular is getting quite a lot of you know, everyone's expecting it. There's something there emotionally that people can't wait for. So, but yeah, no, honestly, this episode in particular, this week's episode, it was genuinely insane. Like, I was gobsmacked. I was just so locked in watching. I don't think I even took a second to really look away because every second was just really catching my eye. I was like, damn, this is getting serious. This is getting deep. Like, this is so out of character for Subaru in particular. And it really shows, like, this episode really shows the struggles of his amnesia now, purely because it's gone from just him suffering with his amnesia and finding out who's killing him. It's gone to a whole identity crisis right now. We'll get into that in this episode as I discuss the episode contents. But honestly, they're just digging and digging deep. But the hole keeps going deeper and deeper. It's insane. We've gone from just amnesia to a whole identity crisis in particular. And that's a whole problem in itself. But yeah, it's like the problems keep on stacking, man. And I haven't felt like this since Season 2. Season 2, where Subaru was just backed into a fucking corner. Like, no matter what he did, it just seemed to, like, mean nothing. Because he just kept dying and dying. Every, like, solution he thought would have work. No, honestly, no. Like, I haven't felt like this in Season 2 watching this shit, but it's so much more, like, worse. The stakes are higher. But yeah, no, honestly, enough glazing. Let's jump into the episode's contents because I'm excited. The episode starts off with Subaru freaking the hell out about his current circumstances. Miley's deceased body is before him, the scratches on her neck and on his hand, and the weird carvings in his arm saying Subaru Natsuki was here. He begins having severe identity spirals that the previous Subaru Natsuki is possessing him and making him commit such crimes. And that if such evil was indeed the previous Subaru, then who does that make him? So yeah, this is what I meant by the whole identity crisis in a sense. So obviously Subaru, he's being possessed. He's clearly being possessed by some other entity. He's being made to do things he wouldn't normally do. Like, quite literally, Subaru would never strangle Miley. He's not even capable of such violence. So, the whole mystery's been solved. Subaru is kind of being possessed. He's being forced to do things he would never do, like strangle Miley. Like, honestly, that was insane. Like, we found out how she actually died. So obviously, in last week's episode, it was like a cliffhanger in a sense. Like, she was just dead. So there was a glitch. Everything went just dark and gloomy, and then she was just dead before him. And obviously, it was kind of hinting that he did it, but now it's been confirmed. Subaru was possessed, and it looks like, yeah, he did kill Miley, judging by the evidence. But what I want to really get into, actually, is the whole identity thing that he's going through. So obviously, this current Subaru, he doesn't know who the previous Subaru was. Like, the previous Subaru, he's only hearing about him through the gang, in a sense. Like, whatever the gang really talk about, how he's reliant, like, they can rely on him a lot. Like, he's brave, he helps people out. That's why in a few episodes before, Subaru was like, damn, I'm not really, I'm not usually empathetic. This old Subaru to him, it's like this mystery person that he can't really grasp to really understand. He's very confused on who he is, but now, the whole Subaru carved into his arm is giving an impression that Subaru is the one the old Subaru is the one possessing him, and then he's like, if that's who the real Subaru is, then what does that make me? Subaru is essentially feeling like a shell in his own body. Like, this amnesia thing has happened to him without his control. Like, he didn't ask for any of this. He's feeling like a shell in his own body, and he pretty much thinks that the old Subaru is possessing him. Subaru then hides Miley's body and says the next time we meet, she won't be a suspect of whoever keeps killing him any longer, essentially settling with the fact that he may be killed again himself and forced to restart to his checkpoint. Leaving the room now, Amelia finds Subaru as he tries acting cool during the current circumstances. Amelia can easily tell now that something is bothering Subaru. She knows him far too much and can tell when he's going through something, where she admits she catches herself watching Subaru without even meaning to. Amelia says after the tower business is over, she wants to give Miley a pardon and a chance to live alongside them, instead of being kept in the basement jail. A coincidental thing to think about, especially since what's just currently happened to Miley. This idea pisses Subaru off, not because of the idea that because of Miley's past crimes she's being given a second chance. No, because this current Subaru doesn't even know much about what happened back then. It pisses him off that Amelia is speaking about the future while Subaru is still suffering and going through so many things in the present time. But yeah, pretty much Amelia is willing to give Miley a second chance, but this pisses off Subaru quite a bit because he's currently struggling now while Amelia is thinking about the future, and it's quite coincidental that she's thinking about giving Miley a second chance once this whole business is over, because, you know, Miley's dead now, and I think that just adds more stress onto Subaru, knowing that obviously he knows that she's dead, and here he is having a conversation about second chances towards someone that is now dead. You know what I mean? It adds more stress onto him. It's pissing him off more, but it pisses him off more that everyone seems to be thinking about other things other than Subaru's like current situation. Obviously, he can't tell them about Return by Death. Even as Amnesia Subaru, he can't tell them about Return by Death. He can't talk to them about who's killing him because he doesn't really fully trust anyone. So hearing a conversation about something in the future when he's currently struggling in the present, it just sets him off. This reaction worried Amelia, where she tries to comfort him the best she can, where she says no matter what Subaru is going through, he doesn't have to suffer with it alone and can tell her anything. Before Subaru begins to trust in those words, however, Ram interrupts them in quite a startle. And before we go on to the next scene, I just want to talk about the Subaru and Amelia development. They've come so far right now. They've come so far to the point Amelia, who isn't really sure about her feelings obviously towards Subaru, she's now catching herself watching Subaru without even like thinking about it. Like, she just tends to watch him without even meaning to, and you know what I mean, it goes to show the progression of feelings. It's getting more and more as time progresses, and it goes to show that how much Amelia cares about Subaru now, because she quite literally, she can just tell when something's bothering him. Like, you know what I mean, it's just, she can just see it in his face, the way he acts. She knows when something's bothering him when he doesn't act like himself, and you know that goes a long way. They meet up with Beatrice and Shawla now, where it seems Miley's Book of the Dead has now appeared on the bookshelf. Shawla says the quickest way to find out what happened to Miley would be to just read her Book of the Dead. Subaru realising if anyone but him reads Miley's Book of the Dead, they'd eventually find out Subaru is the one who killed her, as he quickly volunteers to read the book. Amelia says that he doesn't need to and that she could do it, where Beatrice says the only two people best to do the job would be either Subaru or Julius. Subaru then takes Miley's Book of the Dead and opens it, now entering her backstory. So yeah, pretty much a person's Book of the Dead, it shows that person's kind of backstory leading up to how they actually died. So pretty much if anyone other than Subaru read Miley's Book of the Dead, they'd of course experience her past, but then they'd eventually find out how her life came to an end, and then they'd see Subaru being the one that killed her, and that kind of frightens Subaru because not even he knows what's going on. All he knows is that someone is taking over his body and has just killed Miley, but he believes that they won't see it that way, and that he'd be under severe investigation. They'd be very suspicious of him, and he doesn't want that. So instead, he's being kind of he's been kind of like, he is acting like a killer right now, and he's like, oh, I need to be the one that sees this before anyone else, because if they find out, I'm fucked. So yeah, he's acting very suspicious right now. Now entering Maylee's backstory, the scene plays showing Maylee as a baby left all alone in the forest. A Marby's dog takes her in and brings her up as one of its own due to Maylee's divine protection. Maylee would grow up slowly learning the ways of the world and being seen as queen of the beasts. We get to see Elsa again, as she's been instructed to bring back Maylee due to her divine protection. Capella shows her ruthlessness yet again, as we see that she would constantly torment and make Maylee suffer by transforming her into different creatures in order to break her down slowly. Maylee would grow up to be somebody who was filled with hatred and knows nothing other than knowing she was casted aside by her parents, being tormented by Capella, and seeing nothing but the assassin's life by Elsa. She's now a person that will constantly imitate what others do, due to her not knowing what real emotions are and how a person is supposed to act. Elsa being dead now means Maylee was left unsure on who she should imitate next in order to survive. The scene switches to Maylee looking through the archives of the Books of the Dead, possibly trying to find Elsa's, as Subaru finds her and asks if she's also looking for a certain book, which startles her and makes her run away. Now you're probably wondering why she ran off, and that's because Maylee herself, she doesn't know who she truly is. She's so used to imitating other people, especially Elsa, that she gets scared if somebody even gets a glimpse of who the true Maylee is, because not even Maylee knows who she is. She spent so long imitating others that herself is so unknown to her. So if somebody sees her in such a vulnerable state, if someone sees her currently not imitating someone, that scares her and kind of puts her on the defensive. In a sense, this is another form of identity disorder, because as Subaru is currently like scared of who he currently is, who the past Subaru is, if that past Subaru he saw killing Maylee is truly him, this Maylee in particular, she doesn't know who she is if she's not imitating someone. So if someone sees her in that vulnerable state, then, you know what I mean, that's also put them on the defensive. This is like two sides of some sort of identity disorder. Maylee now has the fear that somebody has seen her become vulnerable and interested in something. Subaru is seeing a split second of the real Maylee, as she's not currently imitating a figurehead. She couldn't accept somebody knowing her like that, where she was about to attack Subaru from behind. Subaru, who was reading a Book of the Dead, however, changes and notices Maylee's presence. From the strange facial expressions of evil and actions, it seems Subaru in this scene has become possessed, signaling that whoever is possessing him must have happened after he read a certain someone's Book of the Dead. With the way Subaru is acting and talking here, I believe a Sin Archbishop of Gluttony is playing a role in this side of thing, because it uses certain mannerisms such as so full of flavour, and this is only something that the Sin Archbishop of Gluttony have really spoken through. Like taste, especially when it comes to memories, and we see him in the opening, so I do believe one of them is playing a big part, like kind of like a master behind the scenes kind of thing. I believe one of them is possessing Subaru, because he just, you know what I mean, it's just the way he speaks, like so full of flavour, and since it has some, you know what I mean, his memories are gone. Yeah, I mean, I'm putting two and two together here. I do believe that one of them is behind all of this. He tells Maylee not to suck up to him either, but seems to promise Maylee whatever she desires, he can be that person for her. Going back to when Maylee whispered seductively in his ear, imitating Elsa's way of being, we get to actually see what happened, as in last week's episode, the screen glitched like TV static. Subaru becomes possessed again and instructs Maylee to follow him into an isolated room. The possessed Subaru says asking him directly about what they discussed previously was against the rules, as he proceeds to strangle her to death. Subaru, waking up from that horror scene, begins having a panic attack. Beatrice says that nobody should touch the book, as Subaru dove too deep into the book and the events have mixed with his mind. Once Subaru has calmed down now, Anastasia asks him what he saw in the book. Before he can fully answer, a sort of haunting of Maylee appears behind Subaru, as she seems to be tormenting and teasing him about what he did to her. Now throughout the episode, Maylee will now continuously decide to pop up, startle Subaru and kind of torment him, kind of like a guilty conscience in a sense, and it's kind of fitting since he does feel guilty. Even though it wasn't him, Subaru does feel guilty. But now it's gotten to a point where he's just seeing her ghost left, right and centre. She's popping up, she's tormenting him, bullying him, kind of pushing him towards the edge in a sense, and it's just making him feel even more guilty and kind of lose his mind. As the group decides to split off and look for Maylee's body, it strikes fear of being caught in Subaru. Chorla, however, showing that she clearly knows Subaru was the one who did it, and due to her full loyalty and devotion to him, says she'll deal with the body. Subaru, who has been instructed to rest in the healing room, begins asking himself why do they seem to like him so much. and by him, the previous Subaru Natsuki, who amnesiasubaru is now led to believe is an insane person who kills people without reason. Beatrice begins healing his scratched up hand, and she states she's used to doing this by now, but has no idea why there's always scratches there to begin with. Now, I kind of like how they added this in, because in the light novel, they kind of go more into this. It kind of describes that Subaru, especially in the past, like the time skip between season 2 and 3, there was a whole year time skip, and since she's now contracted to him, she says that she's gotten so used to healing his like scratched up hand and wrists. They kind of mention it in the anime, obviously, but it kind of goes more in depth in the light novel and web novel, and it's described as she doesn't know why the scratches keep always appearing on Subaru's hand and wrists, but she states that the scratches aren't there due to training or fighting. She comes to terms with that the scratches aren't there due to Subaru fighting or like intense training, but that he does it to himself, and that she's gotten so used to healing him, especially in his sleep. Kind of telling us that, Subaru kind of self-harms in a sense of kind of like dealing with the fact that his trauma from Return by Death, not being able to tell anyone. This is kind of like a defense mechanism in a sense. He's kind of a way of just kind of dealing with the intense trauma and dealing with that he can't tell anyone literally, so he kind of does self-harm, and Beatrice kind of gets used to just healing the scratches and the marks, especially when he's asleep. But yeah, I kind of like how they added this detail in the anime. She doesn't go fully into it, but she just says it's a bad habit of Subaru's and that she's so used to healing it. But I'm kind of glad that they did put it in, because it just shows a different side of Subaru that we haven't really seen. Another thing I wanted to talk about also is like this whole identity crisis thing Subaru's currently going through. Like, Subaru is so confused on who the previous Subaru Natsuki is. He's constantly questioning why the group love him so much, why they rely on him so much. You know what I mean? The past Subaru Natsuki is kind of like a mystery, and this is kind of where in a sec we're going to get into it, where Maddie tries to push him into giving him the idea that he could just read more books of the dead. Now, if you've read the Gluttony If story, you'll know this is where the divergence path kind of happens. Miley's tormenting is kind of successful. It pushes Subaru to actually killing off the gang and reading their books of the dead in order to piece together who Subaru Natsuki really was. It takes the identity crisis even further to the point where he becomes so obsessed with wanting to know who Subaru Natsuki is and who he truly is. But yeah, Miley appears again before amnesiasubaru and begins filling his mind with disturbing thoughts. How easy would it be to kill Beatrice right now? And giving him the idea, if he was to do this, would it make another Book of the Dead appear? Trying to push him in a sense to go down a dark route. A route where he would kill people who knew Subaru Natsuki in order to read their books of the dead, and where amnesiasubaru can truly find out and figure out who Natsuki Subaru truly is, and why everybody loves him so much. The group assemble in order to say that their search for Miley had failed and her body couldn't be found. Anastasia says they're spending too long trying to find Miley's body, and that as of tomorrow they should continue on with their mission within the tower, saying that the time limit on Anastasia's life is still there and she will not have any more interruptions. Subaru agrees with this and says Miley would want them to continue. This is where I would me personally, if I was like one of the members of the group, this is where I would be suspicious of Subaru, because these guys know Subaru's character. Subaru isn't the type of person to be like, yeah man, like there's a dead body, you know what I mean, one of us have died, oh we can't find it, oh we'll just move on. That's what they'd want us to do. That is something Subaru would never do. He would actually fight tooth and nail, yeah, and be like, no, we need to actually find her body, like this is something we have to do. Obviously Amelia in this circumstance is the only person fighting back and saying like like they should find Miley's body, like this is still a person, this is somebody in the group, and the fact that we don't know how she died or where her body is a concern, and we need to find the body. He's so distrustful of them still, so that's why he's trying to push them to continue on with the terror and forget about Miley's body, because the little they know, the better, and the more chances he gets of getting away with what he's done. But yeah, this is where I personally would be suspicious of Subaru, because obviously if I was a member of the group and I knew Subaru for a period long of time, I would know that Subaru isn't the type of person to just skip and tail and leave a body, especially somebody who's still part of the group. Like Subaru would never do that. He'd fight tooth and nail alongside Amelia and fight for the decision to continue looking for the body. He wouldn't just up and say, yeah, this is what she would want, let's continue. He would never do that. So if that was me, this is where I'd start being suspicious. Especially because in this loop, Subaru hasn't told them about the memory loss. So they don't know that he's acting different. They still think he's the same old Subaru. So if the same old Subaru is saying something that Subaru would never normally do, if Subaru is pushing for an action that Subaru would never normally do, it adds more suspicion onto it, because obviously they're under the impression that he's completely fine. He hasn't told them about the memory loss, so this is still Subaru to them. They don't know about amnesiasubaru. So if somebody they know is saying something they wouldn't normally say, yes, suspicion 100%. Yeah, Subaru isn't the type of person to just leave matters such as these alone and continue. He cares about people far too much, and he would have fought back on their notion. However, because amnesiasubaru, although possessed, had killed Miley, and he doesn't want anyone to find out he did it, this is why he agrees with Anastasia. In the green room, it's just Subaru and Patricia now. Subaru puts his finger to his mouth to signal to Patricia to not give away he's leaving, as he goes to check on Miley's body. In the murder room now, Miley's body has disappeared and isn't where Subaru hid it. Ram now enters and puts Subaru on the spot now, saying he's acting suspicious and calls him a fake Borisu, as she puts her finger to her mouth, mimicking Subaru's earlier actions to Patricia to keep quiet. She had used her clairvoyance ability to see through Patricia's eyes and watch Subaru leave sneakily. Subaru, now with the fear of being caught, seems to be getting ready to do something about it. The ending theme begins playing as the last words we hear are "murder is a habit," split between Subaru and Miley's voices saying the words as the episode ends there. And yes, ladies and gents, that is a fucking insane episode. Now obviously it seems, you know what I mean, it's been left on Subaru is about to fight Ram, and obviously Subaru is going to lose here. Let's be for real. He doesn't know about Unseen Hand. He doesn't know about his invisible providence ability. He doesn't know that he can actually kind of do magic. All he knows is that he's got a broken gate. So pretty much if this fight is to happen, he's surely going to lose. But because he's so obsessed with trying to still remain anonymous, he refuses to get caught, so that's why it looks like he's being prepared to do something about it. But yeah, pretty much as I said before, if I was a member of the group and I heard Subaru saying that, oh yeah, let's just leave the body, let's continue, I'd be suspicious, because like I said before, they don't know about the memory loss. So this is Subaru, somebody who cares about somebody who cares about people far too much, somebody that wouldn't just leave a dead body just go unfound. Ram's now seen him be extra suspicious with the whole sneaking around and telling Patricia to not tell anyone. So yeah, honestly, peak fucking episode. We're seeing so many different perspectives, so many problems aligning. We saw a lot of like how identity can play a part in somebody's life. We saw how identity is like an identity crisis is affecting Subaru now. Subaru's becoming so obsessed with the idea of who his past self is before the amnesia. He's literally obsessed with finding out why people love the old Subaru so much, because back in his own world, Subaru was just a person who kind of just wasted away in a sense. You know what I mean? He only like talked to his parents, so he's confused on why people he doesn't know love him so much, and that's why he's become so obsessed with the idea of finding out who the current Subaru Natsuki is, because he doesn't know, and he doesn't know why these people love him so much and rely on him so much, because he's so used to his old self back in the old world, insecure. We get to see Miley's identity crisis in a sense where she doesn't know who she truly is if she's not imitating someone. She's gone through her life constantly imitating, seeing nothing but hatred, negativity, being tormented. She doesn't know who she is without any of that. She doesn't know who she is if she isn't imitating somebody's personality. So we get to see identity like disorder, identity crisis, two different ways in this episode, and I really enjoyed seeing that, because it just goes to show how scary it is not knowing who you truly are. And I also like how Ram is the person that found out Subaru is acting suspicious, because, you know, when she locked the fucking, he doesn't know about her clairvoyance ability, so she locked in with that. And basically, yeah, just caught him red-handed being suspicious. But not only that, it's because, obviously, going back to how he didn't tell them about the memory loss, he's acting suspicious just by saying, let's leave the body. I agree with Anastasia, let's continue. So, honestly, yep, it's all kind of going to shit for the current amnesiasubaru, so I'm very excited to see how he gets out of this situation in the next episode. But yes, ladies and gents, thank you all so much for watching. If you did enjoy, leave a like and tell me down in the comment section down below what you thought of the episode, because they fucking cooked. They cooked so hard. It's such a dark and eerie episode. It's murder mystery, quite literally. It is murder mystery. And even to Subaru, it's murder mystery because he doesn't know who's possessing him. He's currently under the impression that the old Subaru is the one possessing him and doing these evil things, these evil acts. And that's why he's confused himself even more on why the group like him so much, because why would they like someone that's capable of murder? It's insane. But yeah, dark, eerie episode to say the least, but an enjoyable one after that. But yes, thank you all so much for watching again, and I'll see you all in the next video. Peace out.